Hey, witches. Welcome to week 7 of the journey through the tarot.
This week, we study the court cards, the kings, queens, knights, and pages of the minor arcana.
The court cards can be challenging to learn because they are very similar looking.
They're either sitting, standing, or riding on horseback.
What's to be made of these characters who often represent people in a reading?
Grab your tarot cards and your notebook, and let's find out.
Cheers to week 7 of the tarot journey.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it's already week 7? It's flying by.
I love how you left my two
Treat
empty toothpicks. She didn't stab the olives through them. She just left them in the cup. I love you. You're great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Tracy was on a little bit early with us, and she said she's running out of room in her notebook. Oh my gosh. So you've been busy writing. That is wonderful. Anybody else running out of room in their notebook with all of our notes? Because we have a lot to go through tonight.
We're court cards, and then we've got 4 weeks worth of the, ace through tens that we're going to do. And the court cards are perplexing, and I have a brand new, you guys, you know how you're doing something and then you get like the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got it. So in trying to teach tarot, because I've never really done it like this before, and Kat and I are working through lessons and stuff and spending hours talking about things and like how to make it more memorable, or at least when you first get into it, if you're new to tarot, it's like, how do you even start structuring this, because for every book I've read, it's like, yeah, it's just more memorization. It's very difficult adding it onto another system. So tonight I have a really big thing to reveal that I'm super proud of, that was like a download from the universe that said, hey, we got this for you. Do it this way. So I'm very excited about that. And that's going to be right in the first few minutes. So you don't have to wait for very long for that surprise. And 7:06. So I guess we can get started.
Let's get started. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. I'm closing out that, and I'm closing out the chat. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to scoot over just a tiny bit so that my face is
okay. I'm going to start.
Hello and good evening to week 7 of Learning Tarot. What are we calling this?
Journey to Enlightenment.
The Journey to Enlightenment.
Or yes. Journey of Enlightenment.
Journey of it.
Whichever one you want to use.
Enlightening Tarot. Okay.
Get enlightened. So can we back up to first? Because
yes.
I first want to say something. So I know that everybody may not feel this way, but I feel like court cards are really, really hard to, or not really, really hard. They can be difficult to interpret because, for one thing, they can have different meanings in a reading. And for two, so they can represent you. They can represent a person in your life.
Yeah.
And they can also just represent the energy of the suit and what's going on with that particular character.
So they're vague, kind of, then. It's like, it's such a broad, there's so many things they could be. It's like, how do you figure out which one, right?
Well, you don't really have a clue when you're looking at them because they're either sitting, standing, or on horseback.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, what distinguishes them from one to the next?
Yeah.
So that was our challenge as we put together this lesson for you. And we learned quite a bit. We really do spend a lot of time on this, trying to give you guys something concise that will stick with you, that will be memorable.
Right.
And so we hope that you will find what we've done tonight memorable and helpful.
Yes. So I know we have that we were going to go through these couple things, but do you want to just skip straight to the next card because it's a good one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and introduce your this is a never before. Okay, you guys are the very drum roll, because this is a theory, if you will, or not a theory. What would you call it?
Okay,
this is a way of explaining the cards that you've never ever heard before, and so we're going to patent it after we get off this call. So I'm calling up the U.S. Patent Office, and this belongs to Seven Green Sisters or New Witch Academy.
I hope that you feel that this makes as much sense to you as it did to me the moment that like something told me this is it. And that is to associate the tarot court cards with a totem. When we look at it, instead of thinking of them as a hierarchy, look at them as a story that you progress from inexperienced to experienced to mastery level. And we're going to go into all of those things, but this is a visual and it's smaller, but I got this totem symbol just off of Canva. No big deal. Don't know. It has no actual meaning that I know of. And I've paired it with a page at the bottom, beginning the story, to a knight that comes next. And then as the wings spread out, you have the king and queen that also, they're both at the top. And I think this is where we get confused, as in the queen would be below the king, but that's not true. We're going to talk specifically about why they are equals on opposite sides. So the tarot totem is what I want you to remember as the hierarchy when you get a page, a knight, a king, or a queen. And we're going to work it like that. That's how we are developing, learning these cards.
Well, and something interesting to know about totems. So if you don't know anything about them, they're part of Native American culture, which you probably knew that, but they're used to tell stories. They were used to tell stories. And because the court cards represent people at different stages of development, we combine the stack structure of totem poles to represent the growth of the human experience.
Yes.
And
so it matches perfectly.
Visually, it just works. I
It
mean,
does
you
work.
lay the cards out the way Jamie put them here. It looks just like the totem pole. Yes. And it also emphasizes that the king and the queen are equal.
Yes.
They're
equal.
They are equal.
They're the masculine and the feminine masteries. So they represent the same thing, which is that mastery level, but it's of the feminine archetype and then the masculine archetype. And it has nothing to do with, we'll probably say this again and again, but as we talk through the male and female parts of this, or the masculine and feminine parts of this does not have to be a physical male person or a physical female person. This is attributes that we all carry within us.
Because we all know that we both have feminine and masculine energies, qualities as part of our makeup.
Yes.
So we got a little bit of guy in us, even if we're all girls. Some a little bit more than a little bit. And we're still straight.
And so this is like the plethora of conversations that could come out of just that, assigning this based on if it's a gender. It's not, it's the quality around that, where masculine energy is fire and action, feminine energy is more water, nurturing, caring, it's a slower moving energy. That's it. It has nothing to do with the
so should we back up and go through?
No, because there's going to be another part to that anyways. We're going to go over that.
Skip over it?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Is it my turn to talk? Now I don't know where we riff so much. It's like, oh, and then
so I think if we flip to the next slide, will let you explain.
So these are the labels that I gave them to make this as simple as possible for you guys. So it was very hard to put all three of these things on the card at once. So you have this imagery, right, where you've got the stacking, like the totem, but here's the words that now go next to the stacking. The page is that inexperienced person, and this is why they call them the children or the childlike people, because they just don't have a lot of worldly experience. And then you go up the totem and you go to the experienced person. So now they've been in the world a few years, maybe they're like 25, 30, but they're not at mastery level yet. So they're the middle, the middle child kind of, or not the middle child, the middle experience of in between inexperience and mastery. And they still know things, they do things, they have skills. And then we move up to the mastery levels, where we've got the wise feminine and the wise masculine. And that's what represents the top of the totem, which is the overarching thing that we're all working towards, that we're all going to eventually become. It's the crone season up there. That's what's going on. So with the words being on here, it will help you understand, just as a hierarchy, but also as a storyline, where these cards represent our experience, not so much our age level, right? Because I have met 40-year-old people who are
sheltered.
I was going to say like have the experience of a garden gnome, but that sounds really rude. But there's just,
they haven't gotten out of the basement yet. They're still living in mom's
basement. Have no plans on getting out.
You may unfortunately know somebody like that. I hope not, but
hey, and not everybody who lives with their parents is inexperienced. Sometimes there's a beneficial relationship. I know a lot of cultural families that they stay together for a long time. specifically Japanese people, they like live with each other for a very long amount of time. It's not that, it's worldly experience.
So
So
we're talking about failure to launch here.
failure to launch. We are Matthew McConaughey. Yes. Okay. So having these words that go next to that totem, I feel like it really sets us up to understand the cards as we now get into looking at their elements and talking about them as archetypes, because we are bringing back the archetypes of these cards.
Because this is probably the easiest way to understand them is
Yeah.
to think of them as an archetype.
Yeah, you generalize the group. So we've got the generalized group of pages, which are the inexperienced. So you can call them childlike. You can give them whatever label you feel comfortable with, but it's going to mean like lack of experience in the real world, having dealt with the real world. And as we get into pages, which I think that's what we're about to do,
Yep.
we gave them each little archetype names that we came up with, and we hope you like them.
Well, so do you want to
Oh.
flip back to pages real
Oh,
quick and let's
okay.
do we want to read this section here? So this is an overview
Yes.
of the court cards.
Yeah, because that's what yes.
Okay. So
We're
start.
getting it all together. Yes. Okay.
We get so excited.
We do.
We really do that we can't help ourselves. We just jump ahead because we're just like
We're just
so
gonna say it all.
we're
at the
so
same time.
excited that like it all tumbles out sometimes in out of order. And I know that's probably confusing for people, and we're very sorry about
We're
that.
trying to
But
make
we're
it
like
less
we're
confusing.
super excited to share this knowledge with you.
Okay, you're
and
gonna go
ho-
through the pages first.
Okay, so very quick, a review of the court cards. Pages in a reading are often represent someone who is inexperienced with life, like a very young person or a child. Pages are also messengers bringing news or an important message. So that is their role.
And to tie this onto a story from a movie, only because I love movies and how they can really illustrate life things. In that movie, damn it.
Oh no, she
No.
just forgot it.
Okay,
Did it just leave you?
there have been people who portray the God image or the messenger of God as a child within movies, because the innocence of it and the striking sort of comparison of a child knowing way more than an adult person. In movies, children are often used as messengers to give messages from the other side. So this is just like another way that even Hollywood has kind of found that when we bring children in as messengers, as wise people, as bringing something to us that you're like, I know more than kids, right? I should know more than all kids. There's an oxymoron with that. A childlike person being able to bring you a message. What it's telling you is that in order to listen to a child, you have to be open and receptive, and you have to not think of yourself as above them or better than them or knowing more. It's the act of listening to the pages. So if we think about the person being a young child, you might get in your head that they know nothing, and that's just not true. They're messengers. They're closer to the other side than we are, because they only transitioned into human form, 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe. So they still have this different connection than we do if we're at 40, 50, 60 years old. So that's why the pages are seen as the messengers. It's like they still have a little connection to the other side where they can speak some wise stuff, and you're like, whoa, what? Where'd that come from?
Hey, out of the mouths of babes.
What?
Out of the mouths of babes.
What is that?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Is it a Christian thing?
It's a millennial thing, I
It's a
swear.
millennial thing? Am I a millennial? I thought I was a millennial.
You are a millennial, and the fact that you have never heard out of the mouths of babes is
I just don't
surprising.
know what it is, what it means, where it come from, who said it, what movie is it?
Well, I don't know where it came from. It might be, might have a religious, it might be from religion. Tracy's
I don't
Googling
know.
right now. I can see
Thank
her.
you, Tracy.
She's working.
Yes.
She's gonna cite the
I
source
know.
of out of the mouths of babes. It's a saying, and it just means how children can be so insightful when and yet they're so young because they see things they're not jaded,
right
at that,
I like that.
when they're young.
Yeah.
They're not jaded, so they just
So there's hope.
they tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And they don't even know, because they don't know to be they don't know to withhold or kind of like save people, try to spare someone's feelings. They'll just be like, you're fat.
Yeah, I love that one. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they do, and it's just like, oh, thank you.
They're honest and you just have to let them be.
So that's out of the
Okay,
mouths of
I
babes.
get that. I
Okay.
will say that like my one story where Cameron was really young. I mean, my son was like 2.5 years old and he would stare out the window a lot. We'd take a lot of car trips and stuff. And one day out of nowhere, he just says, Mom, why did God put us here? And I'm like, what? Like, why is the sky blue? Like, why is there a moon? I had all the answers for the sciencey stuff. But when he asked me, why did God put us here? I was like,
You guys remember
yeah.
that I never took my kids to church.
No, my son didn't really know Christianity that well either. Like God was not, we didn't call God God. We called it universe, spirit, source. So when he said, why did God put us here? I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. And now there's a whole new topic. He's like 2.5 years old. So that's where I hear out of the mouth of babes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're there's innocent.
If that
and
helps you
insightful and-
learn the pages, yes.
Okay.
That whole
All right.
conversation.
So the next is, and again, we're on a quick overview of the court cards. So knights. Now, okay. So the first thing to note about knights is they're always on horseback.
Mhm.
So they represent motion,
Look at them all.
and they're also youthful and energetic.
And why is that? Because they're in the middle of experience, right? That's why we think of them in that age group. So when you hear this being said about them, think about it in the totem way of experience, not you can relate it to age, but that's not always true because you find young people who are wise. I was
Yeah.
like wise beyond my years at 20 years old. So, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Let's see, knights. Okay, so knights also show travel from place to place,
Mm.
and they show travel from place to place, representing movement on your life path.
Yes. So that's where that movement, I think movement is a great word. And I think we even labeled later, we label this section of knights movement.
Yeah.
They're on horseback. They're on a journey to something. They're in the middle of their journey.
They're traveling somewhere.
They're on a mission.
They're on a mission.
Yeah.
So
Which is what we do in our middle stages of just trying to succeed to our goals wherever we're trying to get to, whether it's retirement or whatever, think about it in those terms of,
or sometimes
way
at that
through.
age, you're like trying to live in different places. Like I
Mhm.
moved when I was 18 from I went to Mardi Gras when I was 18 and then ended up staying for like 4 months. I went there for Mardi Gras and I was like, oh, this is fun. Let me just hang around here for like 4 months to get drunk every night.
I love that.
And that was fun until I got pregnant. And then I was like, I'm getting out of this shithole because I'm not having my baby here in New Orleans. So anyway, sorry, Nola. I love you. I love you. You're super fun to visit, but I wouldn't want to raise a kid there. So, all right, on to Queens.
Okay.
With Queens, we have the wise feminine.
Okay, so I do want to remember that totem picture where we've got the wise feminine over here and the wise masculine over here. So this is not like this. The totem now spreads. So just as a pointer.
Queens represent mastery in their elements. Their unique gift is that the wise feminine nurtures the growth of others.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a common theme with the queens.
Yes.
And kind of their role, if you will.
Right. So when we reach mastery, whatever you might find yourself feeling like you're possibly have mastery in, whether it's at a job, raising kids, with animals, like something that you really feel, I know I'm really good at that. There's going to be two sides to that, and see if you can label it for yourself, whatever the thing is, because next is going to be the kings, and it's the other side of this.
So again, here we have Jamie's example, the right side of the totem, I believe. Yeah, I think it was queen, then
Queen
king.
left. Yeah. Well,
Queen on the left, and it doesn't matter. They could be reversed.
Yeah.
But kings represent kings also represent mastery of their element. Their unique gift is that the wise masculine directs the growth of others.
So you have nurtures the growth of others and directing the growth of others. That is the difference between the feminine aspect of the mastery level and the did I say that right? Sometimes when I speak, I'm like, what words came out of my mouth?
Yeah, no, you were saying it right.
Feminine mastery, masculine mastery.
So one nurtures, one directs.
One nurtures,
directs. That's their unique.
And this is an overview. Remember, this is like so that you can start really gaining a concept of the cards. If you walk away with nothing else besides these things, and you know their elemental ruler, you know, wands, cups, all that, you're going to be able to read these cards. That's it. That's all the knowledge you truly need to read these cards. Everything else is interpretation of cards around it, or what else you like, what else comes through as you're trying to read for somebody. We're moving on to the next one.
So,
We're starting the pages.
why does it say middle of the journey? Middle
Oh,
of the journey.
it said Malcolm in the middle, and I wasn't sure if that was right. So we created archetype names for these guys. We're
Okay.
moving on to the pages. I know
All right,
now
so-
you've talked a lot. I could probably take over if you want
Well,
to.
you're doing all the riffing, so.
Oh,
I'll do
okay.
the
Yeah,
reading.
I love
She
riffing.
loves riffing,
It's my
so,
favorite.
and now you're finally in the frame, thank
I know.
goodness.
Look, I have a helmet and hair and earrings and everything. Yay.
All right, so as we mentioned at the beginning of this, we feel like the easiest way to understand, one of the easiest ways to understand these cards, besides to put them into their experience level with using the totem layout, if you will,
Mhm.
is to come up with an archetype. Now, we've come up with our own archetypes, but these are not written down anywhere, and you guys will be able to come up with your own archetype for
Yeah.
these, but these are ours because these cards truly can be interpreted any number of ways, and it's usually depending on what cards are around them in a reading.
Yep.
So I'll let you go.
Okay. Well, we're in the pages right now. So we're starting at that inexperienced level. So right now we know two things, right? We know that because it's a page, we've got inexperienced or young, and we've got the wand, which means a fire element. So a young person who is in action.
So we called this archetype, actually, we called this Malcolm in the middle, but Jamie changed it at the last minute because we were just like, this is a person in the middle of something.
They're in the middle of their journey. Well, the next words in our little write-up of it is, it's an inexperienced person in the middle of their first journey, you know? And then I realized that Malcolm in the Middle was a show, right?
It was, yeah.
I've never seen the show. So
I've
that's
never
why,
seen it either, so
well,
I don't know what it's about.
that's why I left it out. It's like, actually, that might make people think of something I have no idea about. But it was such a phrase where people would say it. And I'm the middle child, which I don't feel like I fit that, but in the middle of something gives you like, you know, this and you don't know this yet. So even though he's at the inexperienced level, he's been through something because he's on this journey. So he's kind of a oxymoron a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because he's not at the beginning of it. He's somewhere in the middle of his journey. And if we look at the card, he's that staff of his that's representing fire. We talk about how he's focused on the project, on the thing, whatever he's doing, he's in the middle of it. There's focus there that he's looking at. And he's questioning, does he go forward not knowing what's there? And it's like the lack of experience is telling him, you don't know what you're going to expect. You can. So there's that pondering of being in the middle of something and saying, do I follow this and continue on? Where will it lead me? There's those questions of, you know, I still don't know so much. How do I continue to act without knowledge? And that's why he's sort of in the middle of this thing, almost in the middle of your head, where when you go into a new job and you're like, I'm new here. I don't really get it yet. Do I continue on with this? Is it so uncomfortable that I need to leave, or is it something I can handle? And that's what I think of as that fire element, him looking at the staff going, ooh, all right, I've been carrying this fire thing with me for a while. Like, does it keep leading me in the right direction, or do I not go?
And we gave each of the archetypes a little statement about their where they are.
Yes.
You want to read his?
His statement is, the power to complete anything is within me.
So even though he questions because of his lack of experience, he's pondering his, he's focused on his project. He's wondering if he's got what it takes to keep on going,
But he's the
or if he's
fire
gonna turn
element.
back.
So
But
the
his fire
power to
element
complete is within him.
okay.
It's a great statement for that card.
All right. Next,
is the Page of Cups. And I'm doing my job with that.
and look at you. So this is our dreamer. He's the dreamer. And due to his inexperience, this page is fearless in love and relationships.
It's a good thing.
He is blind to the inherent risk that comes with opening your heart to another. For this page, no dream is too big.
And you can sort of see that he doesn't have fear because he's talking to that fish. If you saw somebody comfortably talking to a fish in a cup, what would you think about them? Like, does he not know what he looks like right now? No, he doesn't know what he looks like, because to him, this all feels normal to look at something and have inspiration and connectedness and be like, it's love. I've heard of this thing. Let me experience it fully. So he's the unjaded person, right? So no dream is too big. I love that for him. Go water signs. Love to live in a fantasy world.
And we love love too, or I do anyway. Scorpio.
She loves
that's my
love.
thing.
I think I'm
love-
suspicious of everybody.
I love love. I love to see people in love.
She does.
I
Like the
do.
Taylor Kelsey thing right now.
Oh my God.
have
I'm
the
so
battle.
enthralled with the whole
I don't
she's
like it at all.
She does not like the Taylor Kelsey hookup. And
I
I'm
don't
like,
like it.
what? I
No.
think they're so cute.
Yeah.
She's like, he's not even good looking. I'm
No,
like, I
don't
think
like
they're
it.
I think they're a nice match. And I just
She's too
love
good for him.
I just love that everybody is like, oh, so excited about it. It's very cool. It's a nice distraction.
I just wanted to be happy. So if that makes her happy, that's fine. But no. Okay.
All
On to
right.
the next one.
Okay, so this guy, and we call this guy the batter, the page of
his
swords.
position, right? Look at him.
Because look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally looks like he's up to bat.
He's up to bat. And the description fits.
So for this page is new to the game and stays alert, ready to swing at oncoming mentally challenging situations. Let me read that
Yes.
again. This page is new to the game. He stays alert, ready to swing at oncoming mentally challenging situations.
Yes.
And
That was a
what-
long sentence.
and
I'm sorry
his
about that.
and what we would say about this page is that he's prepared for whatever comes his way.
Mhm.
So he's ready.
And that's what makes him being the batter so accessible, that if you were to picture a person at bat like he is with his sword,
He looks like he's in that position
he
for
looks
sure.
like I mean, literally leg and everything. He looks like he's just ready for whatever comes his way, whatever kind of curveball, straight ball. I don't know all the names of balls of
Yeah.
baseball. I should. My husband coached baseball for years. That's sad. If he ever watched this, he'd be like, you didn't listen to one thing I said ever. That sucks. Shh, he will not watch this. That's okay. But whatever kind of baseball throwing thing that happens here, the page is ready for it. And I think that's why it's really good to say he's prepared for whatever comes his way. Now, because he's a sword, it's the mental challenges. Even though we see him acting out this physically, it's really all happening within his mind. So this is still that analytical person.
Swords is air, in case we
Swords
need a
is
reminder
air,
about
and
that.
it's all of our
It's
mental
all
stuff.
about it's all about intellect and logic.
Yeah.
That's what
He's
the image-
reasoning out what might come his way.
Mhm.
Ooh, what if he's like over analyzing like we do when we're in our Virgo mode? Yeah, his baseball coming his way actually could be like, how do I fit all this stuff in 4 Kalexes in this corner and make it look good? See, that would be my image. That's what would come up for me if that was my card.
Okay.
How to organize stuff.
Okay.
All right, we're moving on to, no, we're not, are we? No, we got the page of Pentacles, sorry. Okay. The page of Pentacles is the planner.
The planner.
The planner. Why? Please tell us, Kat.
Well, he's inexperienced with completed goals. This page imagines what it will be like and dreams of his wishes fulfilled. He envisions a completed plan, his plan completed.
Yes. So the imagery in this card that really speaks to that is because the pentacle is not actually in his hands yet, right? It's hovering just above his hand. So he's dreaming of his plan completed and in his hand, but that's why it's still a dream and he's in the middle of it, because he doesn't quite have his hand on it yet. It's just floating above his fingertips. Like he can see it, maybe he can smell it and taste it, but he can't feel it yet. It's not there. It's not solidified. So his thing is he envisions the plan completed. You can almost see him looking at it going like, oh man, when I have you, this is going to be so great. It's manifestation is what I get from that, of course, but the planner. And now we're going to move on to the Knights.
And as we already mentioned, knights are about movement. So they're all on horseback. They're all in some kind of, they're going somewhere on their
On the
horses.
journey.
So that is a common theme.
And they also have experience. So
Yeah,
they're at that
also
second level of the
experienced. So
totem.
a lot of people think of knights as travelers. They're the travelers of the tarot, or they're going places, but movement is the common theme among the three, or the four knights rather. So on our first night, we have the manipulator,
The Knight of Wands.
The Knight
is
of
the
Wands,
Manipulator.
the manipulator.
Ooh.
This guy is an experienced charmer.
That's why we called him the manipulator. 'cause-
Yeah, because you know, charming is somebody who like uses their wiles to get what they want. They sort of manipulate people with their charms,
Right.
and they're not really sincere, even though you can be charming without having that, without necessarily being that way. But when you are a charmer, you're typically doing that to get out of people what you want.
Yeah.
So this night,
your own ego.
he's charming, but he's impetuous. He's adventurous, but he's unreliable. He's full of enthusiasm, but he makes empty promises. Basically, he's the fun boy toy you can never count on for more than a good time and a heartbreak.
Okay. When she wrote that, I was like, wow, that sounds personal. Tell me about that, Mom. Because
No, because remember the age group of the knights. They're, first of all, they're experienced, so they're a little bit older.
so like
They're
25
probably,
to
they're
40 maybe?
probably 20,
We don't
30
know.
They're probably 20, 30 years old. And
They're
they
in the middle
literally
life.
could represent somebody in your life who I just described. So, you know, I'm like, yes, it was personal for me because I actually know somebody who was quite charming. And yeah, the heartbreak kid. I mean, we could have called him that
Oh,
too.
the heartbreak kid. I like that. What I think is really evident with this guy is the way that he has sort of, okay, so his horse is not in motion because you can see the back feet of him, right? It's just reared up like he's showing off. Look at him, really look at him. If you compare all four of them, he is the show off. He's like, look what I got, ladies. And so that's why it's sort of like this deceptive charmer where, because in that fire element, we really can be all about our ego and ourself and self-serving, because we want action and we want movement, and we're not really concerned with how that makes other people feel. It's more about like our desires, and that's why he is the manipulator. So,
and his little saying that we put with him is moving with self-serving purpose.
yeah,
That's a charmer.
that is what the card represents, is somebody who is on their journey, but it is about themselves. It is not for the good of others. So.
Yeah.
Heartbreak kid. Maybe we should change it to
The
that.
heartbreak
I'm writing
kid,
that
yeah.
in my notes as you go. We're moving on to the next one, but I'm writing the heartbreak kid in the next one.
Oh, can I do this one? Because you know, this is
go
like,
ahead.
okay.
It's annoying. She's such a romantic. I'm so logical. And when she comes up as a romantic, I'm like, what is happening? Go ahead.
Okay, so the Knight of Cups, we have called his archetype the romantic. This guy's a skilled lover. Woo!
Oh, now
And
she's
he's
getting
also,
tingly.
he's in love with love, just like me.
He's in love with
He's in love with love. He's overflowing with emotion. I mean, he's a cup, for goodness sake. He's idealistic and temperamental. He might be your next lover or your next heartache. Oh,
Okay, so that was the little saying, is he might be your next level lover or your next heartache.
yeah.
Now, why? Why do we have that duality with him, do you think?
Well, it's because, first of all, he's inexperienced. Let's put it that way. So he doesn't have a lot.
He might not know what he
actually,
wants.
yeah, he may not know what he wants. So he's in love with love, but he can be very idealistic too. Like, you know, with the rose-colored glasses, like people who are in love, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to admit this is me. So I'll meet somebody who's like, oh my God, he's the cat's meow. And then 6 months later, I found out he's really a con artist, you know, and I'm like, what happened? He was such a nice guy in the
She's
beginning.
blindsided. She's like, what?
Where's all this coming from? So it's kind of a warning. I mean, it says the romantic, but really I feel like this is kind of a warning to like watch out, because he's so in love with love that he'll just be like fall in love with any girl that walks by. And then, you know, then he wakes up, and because it's very an idealistic love. No, it's
Well,
not grounded in much of anything.
There's not
except, you know,
stability.
yeah.
If we think about that, the Knights represent movement. He's in love with love while he's on vacation in Florida, and then he goes back to Utah or wherever he came from.
Not Utah.
I don't know.
Pennsylvania,
No, I didn't want to use one of the northern places.
Boston.
Boston.
He goes back to
Tracy.
Boston. Watch out, he's roaming around your neighborhood, Tracy. Watch out for that guy on the
I
horse.
thought he comes down to one of our little towns that, like, we're a little town in Florida. So it's like somebody from Miami or Tampa, they come to a little town and they're like, they fall in love with a small town girl. And then they're like, oh, sorry, back to the big city for me. Need more movement than this. You know, it's like not enough, but we're making these guys out to be bad. And they're girls too. All of a sudden this just got
Yeah,
very sexist.
remember that, you know, we don't have any guys on here, so
No,
we're speaking
it's-
from the female perspective and experience. But it could also,
Ooh.
it could definitely also be a female that, because females do this kind of stuff. too.
Yeah, actually, if we
I
were to talk about
mean-
my son's ex, I could go on and on about that. little
Oh my
hussy.
gosh, oh my
Moving
gosh.
on and needing
Don't-
attention from every guy.
Don't get, he's here, don't,
He doesn't watch this. It's fine.
he could overhear you. I don't want to hurt his feelings.
He would come out
Okay.
here and tell you guys too.
All right, next.
Okay. We're moving on from the romantic, aka the possible hustler. We can write that down.
The hustler.
The
he's-
hustler.
it could
Oh,
be.
we're
Well, he
creating
loves
new-
love, so he's just super
Okay.
romantic.
I
and
do
anyway.
think that there's not anything about that card that says his intentions are ill. It's just that there's movement. And so it could be, it may not be stable. There's movement. It might not be stable. Doesn't mean it's not
Okay.
real.
Well, I feel like anybody who's in love with love, and I'm speaking from personal experience
Oh
here.
boy. Wait, I'll just put it back on the, okay. speaking
Anybody
really
who's like
serious.
in love with love, they do have an idealized vision, if you will, of what love is. So it's all the good stuff. And you know, there's, I mean, it's the rose.
It's movie things. When you say idealistic, you mean like
it's
movie
like-
love.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's all the rom-coms and you know how it always turns out great in the end and everybody's happy and
Oh,
you know, and all
I'm just,
that kind of.
I'm just connecting this to like the water sign and living in a fantasy world where it's
Yeah.
idealistic because you got to face real world problems. And when that happens, they're like, oh, I got to go back to my hometown. Sorry, bye.
Well, and it's another reason why we need all the elements of the card, because without it, with just a single element, just the
Yeah.
water and emotion, you would be pretty one-dimensional with just all this emotion and not any
It's a good point to make.
fire to motivate you to get moving, not any earth to ground you,
Yeah.
and not
That's
any air to be able to reason out, you know, hey, is this a good choice for me in a mate or whatever? So
I'm just going to call out that was so tarot wise of you to add that in as she thinks she's some kind of beginner tarot person. It's great. So I just want to say, like, I can see your learning and how it's being applied in regular common conversation now.
see what happens when you guys spend all your time studying tarot. This is what this will.
She added that in to just be something that was really beneficial to say. And that's why having just one suit of something is not enough. That to be a well-rounded person would be to have some fire, some water, some air, some earth, because that helps us become the blend of, you know, good possibilities.
Well, and all of those elements complement one another. They support
Yeah.
one another, and you need all of them.
we need all of
So
us.
you need action, you need intellect, you need emotion
Emotions.
because you need the relationships, and then you need to be grounded.
You need
so
to be in
that-
your physical world and
Yep.
relate to it.
Okay.
I love it. I thought that was great.
Now, thank you.
I'm so proud. Here we go. Okay, I have to flip my, wait, are we flipping? Where we at?
We are.
We got so sidetracked now. The
yeah,
romantic, the
we
cups.
talk
Okay.
too much.
Yeah.
Oh, we were on to conquer, but we flipped back. So
Yeah, because you started to go into your thing. All right.
Oh, okay.
Moving along to the Knight of Swords. Okay, so here we have the Conqueror. And just by the imagery on the card, I hope that you can sort of feel that, like, charge in and conquer something. Now, something that could be misconstrued about the Conqueror is this does not always mean this is in a good way. Conquerors are often people who do things for very selfish reasons. So we don't want to think of him in a way that's like, oh, he's setting out to conquer new lands that like makes people's lives better. Not necessarily, just adding that in. So I've never seen the movie 50 Shades of any of them. But
She's never seen 50 Shades of anything, but we're
of
calling him
any of them.
50 Shades of Swords. Is
50
what-
Shades of Swords, because this is really all about desire, ego, what I want. Remember, this is an air sign. So this all resides within the mind of him of like, I'm going to conquer whatever I want to conquer. and it's at the cost of anybody standing there. And so I see, again, I chose Malcolm in the Middle. I'm like, don't know that show. I'm choosing 50 Shades of Swords. I
Yeah,
never
50
seen the
Shades.
movies. It alludes to the fact of like, this is something that really, it impacts other people, what they do. This experienced person knows enough to manipulate, control, conquer other people, but he's not at that mastery level. When we get to that, you guys, you'll see that there's much more balance and justness with it. So that's why these cards kind of come off as a little selfish. They're in the middle of their journey. They still really are only acting on their own self-interest. I think that
Yes.
that's really coming across with all of these now.
So, so he could be your demanding boss or your cool lover because he will criticize you. This guy is known for being critical.
See, cool
And-
lover. That's like 50 Shades of the Things.
That's why we got that.
I don't know.
thing.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen
So he's very direct and he's very critical, and his need for movement makes him impatient, and he gets easily bored with relationships and ready to move on, which is why we called him 50 Shades of Swords, and say that he may be your demanding coworker or a cruel an insensitive lover.
Insensitive or cruel lover.
Yeah.
Because the self-servingness of the cards.
Yeah.
And this seems to be the thing with the knights, because their journey is their own and they're not doing it for the good of others. It's a good thing to know about when you have experience. That's why you can manipulate people. When you've lied enough times and you've gotten away with it, now you're a good liar. When you've, I don't know, lived in California and you know that you can walk into a Target, put shit in a cart and walk out with it, now you're a good thief because of where you live. Like there's things that we become due to our environment. It's not that it's all on that person. They can grow into other things. So never think that just because this card is at this level now, they can grow into other things. That's what's supposed to happen. We need some of the really tough stuff, and we need it acknowledged, which is what tarot does in a reading for you. It calls you on your things, so that you can grow into that person of mastery, to control yourself and to think about others and to become a more well-rounded person, or a person with all the elements flowing through them. I think we are moving on now.
No, we're not. We have
Oh.
the Pentacles.
I meant
I
the
mean, we
card,
have
yes.
we have the Knight of Pentacles.
No, I mean the
Oh,
card.
I thought you meant to the next
To
like,
the
grouping.
next suit.
To the next suit, yeah.
Moving on to the next card, here we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is so great because this card we deemed the hard worker. As far as card imagery goes, you guys, here's how you relate that. The pentacle that he's holding in his hand can represent the seeds of all that he wants to accomplish that goes into that. It's the plowed ground that's ready for planting. Thank you for helping me with that. I grow stuff all the time, but I can't think of the words. So that's the imagery to know that this is the hard worker. Like he's not afraid to get down and dirty in the earth and plant things and wait for them to grow and really give it his time and attention. I think we found our first unselfish knight, didn't
Well,
we?
yeah, because this is a knight that gets shit done.
Ooh,
So that's his thing. Because he's getting stuff done. He's got a plowed field there. He's got the seed of his
future endeavors, whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever that pentacle represents.
whatever he's gonna grow.
New job, new car, new house, new family, new family, a family, maybe not a new one, but like just in that middle stage of here's all the things that I really want in my life and I'm willing to put in the work to get it. So you can see that in the card imagery with that. Remember that freshly plowed field in the background that really gives like ready for growth. The hard work is going to need to be put in for it.
Okay, and now we are on to
Oh, wait, did you
Queens.
say the saying?
I
This
said-
night gets shit done, just in
Mm.
case we missed that. Just because I wanted to say that again.
Well, he's
Okay.
he's loyal and patient. And he likes to play it safe, but he's the hard worker. So this is the night that gets shit done. That gets shit done. He might be so busy working though that he doesn't pay you any attention. You're like, oh, are you not coming home till 9 o'clock? Is there someone on the side at the office? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
That's
I
a whole
see
different.
I see
that's
the
a whole
water
different-
sign of jealous emotions happening right now.
You see my Scorpio coming out.
The Scorpio.
All right. Anyway, that was
not
not part of it. I was just
No.
kidding about that. But I
Oh,
mean, if
here
you
we're
wanted
saying,
If you
listening.
wanted to extrapolate here, we could, so we could go down that dark road.
When we get to homework, you guys, exactly what Kat's talking about right now. This is some of the things that we're going to tell you to
Oh my
recall about
gosh, you guys, we have the
cards.
funnest homework assignment for you. You're gonna,
We're gonna do the homework, and we're kind of thinking about doing like a whole little video of what we came up with for the homework, because it's so fun looking. Or
yeah,
the write-up of it. I love
Okay.
it. Okay, we're moving on to our queens.
which, as we said, the queens represent the wise feminine, so.
The wise feminine, equal to the wise masculine.
Mhm.
This is not hierarchical now that we're here.
Just bringing
Mastery.
that female energy to
Yes.
the wise female energy.
Well, so I'll reiterate how we define the difference between the wise feminine and the wise masculine. The wise feminine nurtures people's growth. Okay. This is a nurturing growth opportunity. The wise masculine directs people's growth. They really do help set people on a path, give them information, show them things maybe. The nurturer is going to be more like, you experience things, come back, tell me about it, we'll talk about it. So that's the difference in, you've got the wise feminine nurturing people's paths and the wise masculine directing people's paths.
So like when you just said that, what I thought of is, okay, in a company, the king is the boss. He's telling everybody what to do. And
Like the CEO boss?
the CEO boss, and he's
Okay.
directing everybody, right?
Mm.
And then the queen is the really cool person in HR who kind of helps you with your struggles and talks about your personal shit with you. Here, close the door. You can tell me anything, and they help you through your stuff. You know, they nurture you along, where the boss is just like, okay, this is what I expect. And then because you respect the boss, you want to live up to those expectations. I had a boss like that who I really loved. He made me a better employee. And I really,
Did he make you a better person?
I think so. I
There you
really
go.
grew a lot.
So it's not-
I grew a lot with him because he had high expectations, and I liked that. It gave me something to strive for.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I just thought about that as you were talking about the king and the queen. If you
Yeah.
put them in the real world,
Right.
could be the
Who are they?
boss.
Sure.
Yeah, it could be the boss who's
Yeah.
like telling people what to do. And he doesn't get involved with the emotional stuff. He's like, yeah, we are not talking about that. Go to see Pam in HR, and she's going to help you with whatever's going on in your life that I don't care about. I'd want to know about.
Whoa, I think that not caring is not the thing. It's just, that's not what he's good at.
That's not what he's good
It's
at.
not what he's good at.
He's
So
good at directing.
we have to help them play to their strengths. It's not that these cards on either side are neglectful of stuff, but they know their strengths, and that's what they play towards. They're like, listen, here's what I'm good at. This is what I'm a master of. So that's what I'm going to help you with. The other stuff, it's not that I don't care. It's that there is somebody better for you to do that thing.
And this is the beauty of readings, I
Yeah.
think, because when you start laying these cards out and they're next to each other and they're in positions, depending on what kind of a layout you're doing, what kind of a spread you're doing, and they're in these positions, you sort of start to get a feel for like, oh, okay, so, this is me now, and this is me. So anyway.
All right, I want to give a quick example of the difference between getting a queen in your reading and getting a king in your reading. The king is the kick in your ass. All right, you ready for that? When you are getting a reading and you should be doing stuff, the king shows up and is like, go get that done. You need to do this. It is direct. There is no soft, cushy, oh, give me your shoulder. Come here. I got a tissue for you. It's okay. No. They're like, you know better. You should have. You need to go do it. That's king. That's the masculine
That's your
energy
king
of it.
energy.
That's the king energy. The queen energy is when you've had a really tough time and you've been trying to be a go-getting king and not taking care of yourself. The queen is like, come here, sweet child. Let's talk about things. Let me recharge your soul so that you can go back out there and push forward again. And that's really the difference between getting a king versus a queen in your reading. If you get a king, it's like somebody on the other side is going, you really need, I'm just going
They're
to kick you
putting a
straight
boot in your butt
Yes.
is what's happening.
And the queen is more like, they
Putting
want to
her
nurture
arm
you
around your shoulder.
and they're telling you to take time out for yourself and kind of heal or come back to something else. And this is no matter you're man, woman in a reading, doesn't matter.
And
That's what it means.
We need both
We need both.
sides. We need both those
We need
sides.
both.
We need someone to say, get off
Go get
your-
shit done.
go get shit done. and then come here and
Somebody else
You
says,
can-
let's have a drink and take a vacation for a while. let's sit on the couch and watch Netflix and not talk and just like have a couple of drinks and be like, you're safe here. It's okay. Just chill.
we're going out for happy hour at 4:00. All right, so this queen, we call her the loyal queen. This queen's saying is, I've got your back.
Got your back. That's
Like
loyalty,
the
right?
sun on your back, I light your path for the future. So this is and when we get to the kings and queens and they're wise, they're experienced, they're at this, hierarchy level of
Mastery.
they've mastered all the experiences below them. So they're up there now. They can give us really good advice,
Yes.
and guidance and confirmation about what we're doing. So this queen says, I've got your back. Like the sun on your back, I light the path for the future.
And because this is wands, right? This is the fire element. That's why I chose
Lighting the path.
lighting the path. So if you think about, if you are walking away from the sun, you're headed into things that are different. It's not like blinding energy, like the masculine side of this card would be the King of Wands. This is one that's like, I'm going to light your way and warm everything about you, and you're still going to be able to see while you go forward on that journey. And so thinking about the sun being on your back is you're walking into territory unknown. This speaks towards the emotions of stuff. This speaks towards the nurturing side of the queen. Hold on, I'm so sorry. I light your path for the future. So that's why she's got your back, the sun on your back, if you can imagine that, because it's I can't see the cards. Do we not have the cards out tonight? Man.
Oh, well, we decided we didn't need them.
I know. Her well,
Wand.
I always want to make like the imagery connect for you guys, but her throne, that's the word I need. Her throne is so high up. Do you see how that's like it has her back? That's how you can think of the loyalty, and I've got your back. Her throne is so high. I can't switch over to the king yet, but it's different for him. It's not the same. So she has your back. It's literally like the shroud of sun energy over you for confidence and moving forward and onto your path.
Okay.
That was a good. Okay.
Next.
That says move it along. Move it along.
So the Queen of Cups, we called her the nurturer queen.
The nurturer queen.
Yeah, and her saying is, I'll be your shoulder, right or wrong. I'm here to guide you through life's difficulties. And we just had a long conversation about the whole energy around this. So you
Yeah,
guys, I think
she's
you
really the
understand.
one.
You really understand, or you should. Hopefully, you
Mhm.
understand at this point that this is the queen's role.
Yeah.
The queen is here to guide you, where the king is here to say, just go get it. I just
Well,
need this done right now.
The queen is not guide. The queen's not for guidance. It's
So
more
it's support.
It's support, which is different because she's letting you choose, where the king is telling you what to do.
Mm,
So she's like, you choose it. I'll support you while you do it. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
all right.
What was her saying? The Queen of Cups. I'm
The
here to
Queen of
guide you
Cups.
through life's difficulties. That's that emotion side of her. She
I'll be
wants
I'll be your shoulder is what she says.
I'll be your shoulder. She's
Mhm.
comforting you in times that are difficult. Okay. The advisor queen.
Okay, so swords, air, intellect, logic, right?
Mental reasoning.
So this is why we called her the advisor queen. And her saying is, come to me for guidance. My life experiences allow me to advise and guide you.
She's at that mastery level. That's why she gets to say, my life experiences can help you, like, listen to what I've been through. As an air queen, I do feel like she has a little bit more of that masculine sort of directing, it's not
Mhm.
it's not as emotional as, say, the Queen of Cups, but there's still that, tell me all of your problems and I will help you solve them, but I'm not going to tell you to do it, but I will advise you. That's why she's the
Well, she's got the
advisor
brains.
queen.
She's got
the
I mean,
brains
she's
for
the
it.
air sign.
Mhm.
So she's got the intellect and the logic to help reason out problems.
So
and-
this is really Pam and HR. Like, here's how I help you. This is Pam and HR is going to help you map out your path for the most successful career. Okay, what's Pam and HR from? I know it's from like a show.
Oh, I don't
It's
know. I
like
just made it up.
Yeah,
I
I
have
think
no
that's a
idea.
real thing.
I don't know, but when you said Pam and HR, I
HR.
couldn't help but think from Jake from State Farm, and I'm like, wait, where does he fit in?
Gosh, we need a Jake from State Farm. Shoot. next iteration, Jake from State Farm is totally gonna be one of our cards. This is something you can put in your own, when we come to homework, that's gonna be one of
Yeah,
the
you
things.
guys are,
creating your
listen, you
own
guys are gonna
stuff.
get to make up. You guys are gonna get to assign,
Your
your
own
homework is gonna be
archetypes
to,
and stuff,
to do
yeah.
your own archetypes. But it's gonna be like a fun exercise that you're gonna like it, so.
Mm.
All right, and the Queen of Pentacles, so we know that Pentacles is all about earthly.
Sensual desire.
Yes, and so we call her the sensual queen.
Yes.
And her saying is, let me help you love life.
Right?
Lack is an illusion. The world is bountiful, which
Yeah.
of course the Pentacles is all about. There's enough for everybody.
Yes.
There's so much, and all we have to do is manifest that, believe that we can have all of the things that we want.
I'm just gonna
And-
bring up our famous saying, what you think about, you bring about. If you
Mm.
believe there's lack in everything, you'll find lack in everything. If you believe there's enough for everybody, you'll just see enough for everybody everywhere. That's what it'll be.
Okay. And we're almost at 8, so I just want to just let you know.
Okay, so we're riffing
yeah,
too much. All right.
So we might be riffing. Sorry, we're gonna keep you about 10 minutes longer.
I
hope
just want to
nobody-
say, like, let me help you love your life.
Yeah,
I figured you would speak on the sensual queen more, but she is about the luxuries and the finer things in life. And that's the card alludes to that because there is so much bounty and greenery around her. She's one of the few cards that they filled the sky with the bounty of the earth. And that's what lets you know, like, let me help you love life. Let me show you all that life has to offer. There's many things there.
well, when I think of Pentacles, I think of earth signs, specifically Taurus, which my other
Because
daughter
Jolene,
is
you
a
guys know
Taurus,
Jolene,
and
yes.
so
Yeah.
and she's all about the sensual pleasures of experiences and
She
love.
lives a beautiful
and-
life. She like
and
does and goes.
she
and
does, and
experiences
yeah, and
Yeah.
everything
Great
is
example.
and everything is beautiful. You know, she makes everything beautiful. She loves
Yeah.
beautiful things. She always looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, she makes
She's
her
so
house
pretty.
beautiful, and she's very much into that. It's very much that worldly, like the beauty and sensuality of what's around us,
Of
what
the
we
earthly
what
plane,
we
right?
surround ourselves with.
This is the earth element.
Okay,
We're
and
moving
now
on
we are
to the
on to the king,
kings. The masculine,
the wise masculine.
the wise masculine. I was going to say the masculine mastery, but that's not quite right. The wise masculine. Yes. The masters of this area.
Okay, so the King of Wands, of course, is a fire sign. So we called him the visionary king. And his saying is, let's get things started.
Ooh, like a fire.
This king does whatever it takes to overcome any obstacle and brings his plan to fruition. That is total fire energy right
Yeah.
there. If you know anything, if you listen to we did 2 weeks of elements.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked
Fire
about
is
this. Fire
overcome-
is like fire, the
Force
fire
fire,
signs.
control fire.
Well, and the fire signs are the ones who get us started, like Aries gets everything started. Not that great.
Zodiac wise, right? Aries is the beginning of
Yeah.
our zodiac. So they're like, let's get it started.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just thought of that song. Is that
Let's
what
get
he
it started right now.
Yeah, listen. There you go. That should be this card.
That's his theme song.
We had songs that went with
Oh
cards.
no, don't tell me
Oh.
that. We should have done that. That would be so fun.
Next
Okay.
iteration.
All right.
Okay. The visionary king, because with vision we act, and that's action, fire, everything that goes into his thing. To relate it to the card. Can we relate it to the card?
Sure.
If you guys remember the story of the salamander, mythical creature that was born from fire, but really what happened is somebody put the wet logs from the forest in the fire, and the salamander was like, get the heck out of here, there's movement there. So fire, it's a fire under your butt. That's what the salamander represents. So that's why it's like, let's get things started. See that little salamander out on the king's platform right there? He's like, damn it, what happened? You put me in the fire and I had to like leave my home. I gotta go do something. I gotta go find something else. That's him. Over to the diplomatic
The
king.
King of Cups, the diplomatic king.
So that's interesting because emotions and being diplomatic. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Well, this king comes. So first of all, let's say this king is the strong silent type. And when this king acts, he comes from a place of compassion and love. So this is he's very diplomatic. He's not going to be the king that kicks you in the butt. he's going to be the king probably that talks to you and is more tactful.
Oh, he
when
talks you into kicking your own butt.
He's more tactful when he says, get your ass in gear. He didn't
Yeah.
quite say it like that. He's like, you can do it.
He's like, hey, I know you have more in you
Yeah,
that you could do.
exactly.
Oh, so he sort of inspires
I
you
see
too.
I see your strengths.
I
I
know
know
your
you've got,
talents.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that's the diplomatic king.
He's inspiring you to take that action and do things and find mastery rather than telling you to do it.
And
So
that is because of his heart and, you know, his emotion and how he's connected to the water
it
sign.
comes from a place of compassion rather than just do it because it's for the good of everybody.
Intellect,
Yeah.
and, you know, like
Brain and
yeah.
heart disconnect sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
We have over to the just king. And I will tell you guys that I chose the just king because I think I chose it.
You did.
Because the air element is a lot about justice. And Kat actually brought this to my attention from one of the books that she read and went through is, you know, and I hadn't really considered how much the air element, so the swords, really talks about the things that are going on because there's justice involved. So all of these injustices happening in the cards are about bringing about justice or bringing about fairness within the mental side of things. Like that's one of the things that as humans we contemplate, how to make things fair and just for all. And that is why the King of Swords is the just king, because he wants to do that.
So we made his saying, equality for all,
Equality for all.
intellectual and analytical. This king brings fairness to life's problems.
He doesn't want to just rule and make decisions. He really is more like that Libra sign where it's the fairness thing. He's going to analyze. Remember, this is all about our mental processes. He wants to analyze the things that are going on and then decide what's just for everybody. He's not going to choose a side. So there's the fairness in it. With what's really interesting about him versus the queen, I wish I had paired the two together to see like the two masteries. Maybe we do that on the live somehow. But with the king's justness, if you see the lacks of his sword where it's not rigid, he's thinking. So there it leans to one side, and it actually leans to the logic side of the brain, which is reasoning. If it leans to the left for reasoning, which is amazing, you know, so it kind of gives you that clue to how the king is thinking. He's thinking with his left logical side of his brain rather than the other side, which is more the creative and emotional and like, oh, let's burn it down. You know, this is where the imagery of the card for me really sticks, because everything else about it is not, it's not really that descriptive for me.
Yeah, no, not really.
No, it's the sword's position. I know that's weird, but like for me, that's what hits for me, because he's not centered and like strict. He's more like, okay, let's think about this. There's the balancing act of him.
Okay.
I'm riffing too much. She's giving me the cue.
And lastly, the King of Pentacles, which we call the stable king.
Stable king, not as in horses, but as in being stable.
This king saying is, the world is your oyster. Opportunities are everywhere and you're only limited by your desire. So this is all about that earth energy where we can manifest, because there's enough in the world for everybody, and we can manifest what we want if we believe that we deserve it and we believe that we can have it.
Yeah.
And so
belief is a big thing for the earth element, because there's that, whether other people think it's just or unjust that you could have, you know, $50 million, it's like, it doesn't matter. I believe I can have it, and maybe I'll be a steward of wealth of some kind, but the belief has to be there first. If you look at other people's beliefs that they can't do better, they can't get another job, they can't advance, there's people more qualified than them. We get stuck in our head about our physical assets and what we can attain. That's why his thing is like, the world is your oyster. If you believe it, go conquer that shit.
Well, and look at his world.
it.
He's literally got everything. I mean, this is the
Well,
most.
he's so proud of his pinnacle.
Yeah, and
it's such a.
He's proud of his
There's so
pinnacle and
much.
all of his accomplishments and his wealth. So he's very grounded and very stable. And
He lets you know, he's like, look, if I could achieve this, so can you.
Yep.
He has no qualms
I mean,
about it.
he got there. He had to rise to that position.
It's sort of like showing it off, going like, I've done this, you could do it too. We don't know his history or what he came from, but he's showing you that it's possible. So that's his card's interpretation. Like how the queen had all of her, the elaborate growth around her. He's like everything's sort of at the base of him and growing up. He's got the kingdom behind him and the vines are growing everywhere. And he's like, yeah, dude, listen, just go out and just do it. And you can have it all. Like, just go
take the tiger by
just
the
go
tail and go
believe
for
it.
Yeah.
Oh, the tiger by the tail.
Okay, so I want to mention something. So, we talked about the cards in a reading and how, first of all, we talked about how these cards are a little more difficult to understand because there are people that sitting around, standing around, or on horseback. So what the heck? And they all kind of look similar. When you look at them together, you're like, what does it mean?
Right.
So in a reading, if you ever get stumped, and this works for any cards, but if you ever get stumped on a card, pull another card as a clarifying card. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, but when you lay out your cards and you're like, this card in this doesn't make any sense. I need
It perplexes
clarification.
me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. You can pull a clarifying card. And I think that would be sometimes really helpful could be really helpful with the court cards, depending on what comes up. Lastly, the court cards are probably the most challenging because they all look so similar and they're not doing anything. Like I said, sitting around, standing around, riding a horse. Now we want you to get to know the personalities yourself. This is your homework. So for these 16 cards, the 16 court cards,
16
take
court
the cards. And then answer, make a sheet or a half a sheet for each one of the cards.
Journal entry, whatever you got.
Whatever you do.
Just whatever you got.
And describe them using these categories. So their personality keywords. What do you know about them? What do you know about their personalities? What do you think their favorite hobby is?
I love this because this is actually like, okay, I'm going to totally flip the script. You guys ready for this? Imagine these court cards are on like Tinder. Imagine they have a match profile. Ooh. and the card is the only picture on there. And you have to interpret from their picture what's their personality keywords. It's like,
what are they about?
Yeah.
Well, like how would you describe yourself? I'm a homebody. I like whatever. So, okay.
Well, I love
personality
this.
keywords.
So first off, just imagine who I think of immediately, of course, is the Knight of Swords, right? Coming in like a maniac. I'm like, oh, we're not matching. Click whatever way, swipe left, right, whatever the swipe is. We're like, no, he looks aggressive and a little too much for me. So you can just kind of imagine from the card.
So his hobby is probably axe throwing or something like that.
He's like, it's that same.
But he would also have his best asset. So,
What
something
would be
about
his best asset?
about
Yeah,
him
sure.
with his aggressiveness would be like, he gets shit done. Was he the one that gets shit done? I don't remember. And then what's his worst character flaw? It's like,
Ooh.
oh my God. So the worst
He wants
character
to
flaw.
fight every guy at a club that talks to you or offers you a drink.
And what's his possible career, or what is the card's possible careers? You could just
He
think
works
of,
on Wall Street. Yes.
what are the blocks or challenges?
He has mommy issues. I'm gonna.
What's his goals and dreams?
To rule the world one day. It's the most egotistical male kind of thing. Like maybe
That
it could have been
toxic masculine energy.
toxic masculinity. Okay.
So here's an example of one that we did, or that I did, and I'm going to share it with you so that you get an idea of what you're doing.
Even though we just kind of went through a really crazy
We did go
mashup.
through one. We did.
But no.
That was very good.
This was probably inappropriate. Maybe I should not put that on YouTube. But
Okay,
Cam
so
has a much more structured thought
Alright,
about.
and this also gives you guys time to write down what you're going to be
Yes.
doing. So here's an example. So the tarot card is the Queen of Swords. Personality keywords: she's smart, judgmental, clear-headed, speaks her mind, and confident. Her favorite hobbies are reading intellectual books and making to-do lists. Her best asset: she's a clear communicator.
Because this is all like swords energy, right? Because you're
Yeah.
like, I see what you're going with. Is a lot of this is like the air energy of, like, it's the mental stuff. reading books
you
and-
can take what you know or just make some stuff up that you connect with. So the idea here is for you to describe these cards in a way that connects with you, your experiences, and
Yeah.
the people that you know in your life. Because here's the thing, as you start to do this with each one of these cards, you might start to recognize somebody. It's like, oh my God,
Who
that sounds like
represents that
that
card?
sounds like my boss.
Mm.
Okay, her worst character flaw, she's judgmental and bitchy. Her
This is
positive,
who? The Queen of
this
Swords?
is the Queen of Swords.
Wait,
Um,
wait. Okay, the only reason I did that is because when she said judgmental and bitchy, we
Okay,
talked about
so
this card and how
she's-
she's like summoning people.
She's
She's like,
smart, she's clear-headed, she
Yeah.
speaks her mind, and she's confident.
yeah,
So we can kind of see that in her posture.
she is confident. Look at that.
Listen,
Like,
she's
super direct sword.
yeah, so she's smart, she likes reading intellectual books, and she's making to-do lists because that's how she rolls. She's a clear communicator. Her worst character flaw, judgmental and bitchy. Possible careers for the advisor queen or the Queen of Swords: professor, teacher, translator, speechwriter. Her blocks or challenges: being stuck in her head and thinking too much. Goals and dreams: to get her PhD, establish a career, and write an instructional book.
She almost sounds like she's there because she's so like on top of it. But
And her biggest fear is having
this is hilarious. Wait, I need a drum roll for this because Kat wrote this by herself. And when she read it to me,
Thank you, Kim.
it shocked me. I was like, what?
Her
Okay. Her biggest fear, this intellectual person who might be bitchy, a professor and gonna get her PhD in something great. Biggest fear.
having to watch the Jerry Springer show on repeat.
Like, my mom thought about this and envisioned somebody who is so intelligent that like Jerry Springer brought them down. Like I just, but
So that is
an example, a wild example of how to do the homework, which is like way down here after I do 500.
so the
Look
homework.
at it go. Look at it go. Oh, it's
Okay, so
crazy.
there it is.
Homework.
All right, so hopefully you got all those down, and hopefully, and I know it's a lot because there are 16 cards, and you'll have to sit down and think about it, but it will be a way for you to sort of assign your own archetype to the card and get to know the card. So that's, and all
Imagine them as a person.
and the purpose of the homework, of course, is to help you learn the cards.
Yes.
We need to work with the cards to study them, and I just thought this sounded like a really fun exercise, and I hope you guys like it.
Thanks for joining us for week 7 of the journey through the tarot.
This week we studied the court cards, the kings, queens, knights, and pages of the minor arcana.
These are some of the more challenging cards to learn. So be sure to do the homework, which you'll find at the end of this video.